Hi everyone, welcome. I'm down here in my wormery, and the bin that you see here, it's the European nightcrawler worm bin, which is now 175 days of age. That's 25 weeks of age. And it's the system, as you may know already from seeing that diagram that's on there, it's the system that we're doing the pocket feedings in, always alternating the feeding corner, going around and around, and always giving us a chance to check back in on the previous feedings. We abandoned the corner feedings. Last time the feeding was applied right down the middle, and it was kind of an interesting feeding. It was really pretty much just worm chow. And it was always a 10-day interval between feedings too. So this is actually the first time we're deviating from that, because it's been 13 days since that last check-in. So I'm going to get that system up on the bench. We're going to probably feed it today and just check out how it's doing in general. Now what you see scattered across the top surface of this piece of paper are all the little gnats that were wiped out by a little spider that must be living above the system. And that's a pretty good deal. Spiders are a good way to try to combat your insect situation, but chances are they're probably not going to solve it for you. So I could see a couple more walking around here. For a while I was sprinkling diatomaceous earth out onto the top surface of my systems. More recently I started converting over to trying to treat all the systems with the BTI, the mosquito dunks solution. And it was because we wanted to give the system a good treatment of the BTI that we applied a bunch of shredded paper, and I think there was even maybe a paper towel under the shredded paper, all meant to capture the BTI solution as it was poured in here, and keep it from just draining to the very bottom of the system. And hopefully over the past 13 days since we were last in here to do that, hopefully the BTI has been making its way into the system. We've got lots and lots of leftover bedding here. So for a 175-day-old system, I mean 13 days ago it was not that old yet, but it was pretty much up there already. It was well beyond the age when I would normally grab a handful of bedding like this and toss it into one of my more senior worm bins. So I just figured, what the heck, let's try a deviation from the typical by doing that. And I think just by seeing how much there is still here leftovers, I don't think we'll be adding more bedding today. I guess here and there as you poke through it, actually, interestingly enough, within the heart of it, there's piles of castings. Interesting. At first it just seemed like a pile of shredded paper, but in between all of it, there's lots and lots of castings, interestingly enough. So they're obviously working the stuff. And I guess if you're more careful, you do notice that there are worms in it, too. At first, I didn't even think there were any worms in it, and now I'm seeing that there definitely are. Once again, they just sort of camouflage blend in with my shredded paper. So usually it's pretty easy to miss the worms within my shredded paper. So my aim was to really just add more BTI. I was concerned that that this system might not have received enough last time. Most of my systems have gone through the rotation and have received a second treatment of this stuff. This one has not yet received a second treatment. So I figure let's give it a little boost and make sure we at least add BTI to this here. And it feels weird adding it because the stuff is definitely as moist as it would need to be. Very weird. I don't know. I have to sort of force myself to add more moisture to what seems to be a completely soaked pile of paper. Maybe another thing we could do here is to sort of build a little bit of a gully for it here. I know it's a coffee filter and that by its nature it's designed to allow fluid to drip through itself slowly, but I figure that's going to be the main trick here, right? We're going to let it drain into the neighboring paper slowly. Oh, no way. I'm not going to add this much, that's for sure. This is, after all, just a boost, right? So I think by adding, what do you think, that much? We'll let this stuff soak into the neighboring paper, and that'll be the BTI treatment for today. I've got my worm chow here. I'm definitely running low, but this is one of the systems where I had intended to continue using the worm chow. I was even thinking of soaking this piece of paper in this BTI solution, but you know, it's good to have this here as a quick reference to know what should be in what corner, so let's hang on to it. We'll just throw it back on top again and it'll catch flying insect carcasses once the neighboring spider finishes eating them. But I guess we can go on a little bit of a quick scavenger hunt looking for leftovers. I do believe that in a future check-in we'll probably go on this leftover scavenger hunt with the intention of collecting all the leftovers together and using them perhaps at some point as a centralized feeding. But I think for this go around we'll just check them out of curiosity, you know. So the corner over here that had the avocados, eventually the avocados started to vanish. I think the most recent feeding, the one down here, which even 13 days ago was already 40 days old, is now 53 days old, was already not visible. We already scratched it off, so I think the avocados being the only thing representative here as being something that might still show signs of leftovers. I think that also has to be qualified to say it's probably just the avocado shells that we would find as leftovers. So I just figured let's poke into here really quick just to get an example of what we're considering to be the only type of leftover to be found in that corner. Here's some bedding. Otherwise, the only other stuff to be found down here is worms and finished compost. Quite damp down here. Good bit of moisture. I think if we find a good bit of moisture in every corner all the way around, we might have to demote the plastic coverings in here and start letting the system lose some of its moisture, especially since we've been, you know, focused on getting BTI in here. It might be time to let this system ventilate a little bit by reducing its covering. So going back a little further, 30, so at this point it will be 43 days old. Orange peels. I think last time we had the scent of the orange peels still a little bit. There might have even been some potato peel. But I think the main thing in this corner that we're always going to expect to find in here, I believe, at least for a little while longer, is the pumpkin stem. If we sense the smell of orange or see any orange peel, I'd be surprised after almost another 2 weeks. Last time too, I think we sensed the odor of it, or the scent of it, but we didn't see any signs of it. That's the orange peel that I'm referring to. As far as the stem of the pumpkin goes, I felt it a moment ago. Let's unearth it here really quick just to get us a look at how it's coming along. It's always coming along great, and it's always got worms crawling in and out of it. Over here next to this worm I can see a cocoon. The cocoon's actually stuck to the worm. And as you go around a little bit, we got this unusual, very pale looking worm down here. But it's this side of the stem that always seems like it's taking the longest to soften up. I think last time we saw it, it was starting to soften up a little bit. So perhaps someday it'll break down. But right now, it's still in progress, and I prefer not to help it. Let's just let the worms continue whittling it down. But I do like putting it back where it was each time. So let's return it back to the exact same spot where it was before. And then I guess really quick, don't know what to expect out of broccoli, banana, coffee, chow, 20 days. That would add another 13 days, 33 days. We're not going to see any leftovers of anything down here. The only thing we're going to find is castings, that's for sure. And we would not expect to see anything. Who knows? Maybe something slipped in here from some other neighboring feeding. Maybe there was like a little banana peel that ended up down here by accident. But As far as the stuff that you would expect to find down here from the most recent feeding, there'd be, nothing. No traces of it whatsoever, that's for sure. But a good number of worms still working it down. Let's really quick get over to that last corner where we had, I think most recently fed when it was the last corner feeding was a feeding of cabbage. There was other stuff, worm chow and coffee in there too, but at this point it might be cabbage that we would see some leftovers of, especially if there was like maybe a larger chunk, but who knows. After a while that stuff just goes. So down here I don't know what to expect as far as leftovers. Could be virtually nothing. Could just be the worms working the remaining juices down and doing away with whatever remains. But here too, lots and lots of worms, that's for sure. I've got some sort of a stem down here, a banana stem. Pretty good size little artifact down here. I guess banana goes back. Oh, actually, there was banana peel in the last feeding, so this actually goes back to the last feeding that this corner received. The cabbage, you wouldn't expect to find any leftovers of, but it's not too surprising to see a banana stem. So that was quick fun, quick check-in on the corners. I can't help checking when I come into this bin to see how things are progressing. And I gotta say, I pointed out a cocoon or two there while we were burning through. I don't know if you saw them or not, but they're everywhere. There are cocoons everywhere in this system, big and small, all over the place. So I think the time has come to get this system fed, so we can just clear out of here, leave these little guys to be. I just thought worm chow, put it right on top of this leftover pile of shredded paper here. Hopefully draw some nice attention to it. Hopefully they'll come for the chow, but they'll gobble up the shredded paper in the process too. So I figured maybe I'd blend a little bit of it in and then sprinkle it down one more time. That seems like it would be almost irresistible to these little guys for them to leave any paper behind that's got a whole bunch of worm chow piled onto it. So I think we're in good shape here. However, if we were to just cover up with what was here before, we'd be bringing the plastic back, but I think we decided we've got to let this system start drying off. So I think I've got to upgrade the coverings here, retire the plastic. Let me go see what I can find. This cardboard, I think, will serve as a good top covering. It's going to leave a lot of space around the edges for the system to breathe and dry a bit, hopefully. And let's just bring back our little diagram for future reference. I was very tempted to just soak this stuff in BTI2 and just, dampen this piece of paper and throw it down there, maybe throw some worm chow on it. But for now, it's still serving as a good reference to let us know where things are. And you know what? I'm not going to put this away yet either, because that plastic that was covering things here, it's got some castings material stuck to it. Once that dries, I'll be able to flake that off and get all that stuff back in here before I retire that piece of plastic. And I think with this cardboard covering, we should probably start seeing some drying in here, but it's going to happen slowly, I believe. So that's it for the video, everyone. Hopefully you enjoyed it. If you did, as always, please don't forget to leave me a quick thumbs up before you go. And if you haven't done so already, please also consider subscribing to the channel. All right, everyone, have a great day. Bye now.